Hi, welcome to ITC 561. Today we're going to look at topic 9, migration planning. Now, at this stage of our subject, we've looked at all of the different aspects of cloud computing. We've probably got a pretty good idea of what we want to do. So now it's time to look at that really critical part of the whole process, migration planning. Now, planning is really critical to organising a migration, as if you've got a badly planned migration, it will leave you and your organisation in a position where you may not be in control of your own services. This is not a nice place to be. So you've got to treat this process as a project. You have to put into this project all the normal governance and rigour that would be applied to project management. This is an essential step. Without that, you will fail. We've got 3 readings in this topic and they're all quite interesting. Now, we start off by reading the Cloud Standards Customer Council paper. This talks about migration to a public cloud. This will give you a good broad outline of the whole process. Then read the AWS paper on migrating existing applications to the cloud. This will fill in some more detail. Notice these two take a slightly different approach. We'll talk about that shortly. Finally, have a look at the operational checklists for AWS, and this will now give you the fine detail you might need to think about for each of those steps in the process. It'll also fill in some of the blanks that you might have skimmed across in either the first 2 papers, the one from the Cloud Standards Council or the AWS migration paper. And as we'll see, there's always a bit more to come with migration planning. Remember, you don't need to memorize these papers. You need to understand how it works. You need to think about how do we put this thing together for our organization. So there are 3 main approaches to developing a migration plan that we will look at in this particular topic. These are, firstly, the business-oriented approach, where you put the business needs ahead of the technical requirements. And ultimately, this may end up being a better approach from a long-term viewpoint. The second approach is the cloud provider approach, and this is an approach that's developed for the organization by the cloud provider. So this will give you a superb, excellent technical solution, but it may not necessarily consider your long-term business requirements. And finally, there's the create your own, roll your own, whichever way you want to describe it. This is where you develop a plan that's the best fit for your particular organization. And this can use the best parts of other approaches and migration frameworks. In other words, you can pull bits together to achieve what you want to achieve. So we will have a look at that. We will look at a possible migration planning framework, excuse me, that's a combination of those 2 approaches. And this may or may not work in your organization, but it will certainly demonstrate to you how to take and blend parts of each approach to give you an approach that will work in your particular context in your organization. Finally, we'll look at assessing the plan. This is a concrete step that can be used to really determine if that plan of yours is going to work, right? And it gives you a chance to adjust if it's not coming out quite right. So we'll have a look at that as well. So where does this fit into your studies? Well, this helps you meet the learning outcome of being able to critically analyze business requirements to plan a migration into the cloud. And you will be tested on this in the final exam. But most importantly, again, this is knowledge that you'll constantly use in your workplace, particularly that assessment step, as you manage your enterprise cloud deployment. So if you have any questions, I suggest raise it initially on your forum, talk to your lecturer, email us, and we can get back to you with as much information as you need. See you next week.